Series 13 of the Collectible Minifigures came out in 2015, starting with a fantasy right off the bat that are the King, Evil Wizard, Goblin, and Lady Cyclops. The Lady Cyclops isn't as good as the male counterpart, though I do like the choice of switching the two colors, having the olive being the cloth and sand blue being the skin. Plus, I like the added makeup to the head along with a lighter color of the club. I would have liked it if they add some bits of armor like what the counterpart have, instead of making a new style of the cave woman. The Goblin have the one of two things that you would expect it to have. The obvious I'm evil armor, or the rag cloth thief. And the latter was Pic having the yes I'm evil face. Design of it though is pretty good. The 3 pictures are a nice added detail, and the tan rope as a belt really helps add a bit of color from the brown and olive. However, I wish the printing did not have those olive color, at least the torso, so it would be used for other minifigures of other colors. Because these cloths would be good to use on some poor minifigures for a kingdom. Evil Wizard making a reference to Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon. It have the beard, eyebrows, and everything, but with a change of uniform, with having these fire and skull patterns, which are nice and generic. In fact, I think they should have leave it with just the gold skull belt, and did something else with the underrobe patterns instead of all these skulls. The fiery cape is nice and unique to this minifigure. Kind of wish they would use this style of cape for another minifigure in the future. The King, which is called the Classic King for some reason, likely calling it that because of the style of the clothes, especially the new capes with having this cloth over it. The design of it is okay, really not liking it compared to past fantasy minifigures. Seems like it's lacking a lot with the printing, though what is missing I do not know. But I do love the new hairpiece with the crown. The length of the hair fits perfectly, though I hope it doesn't replace the old crown. Would at least be good to have 2 different crowns for 2 different factions for a castle theme. These minifigures would fit pretty well in one's fantasy world or as costumes for a play or Halloween. Those who are looking for city, this series have a Disco Diva, Fencer, Carpenter, and I'm guessing you could count the Snake Charmer. The Snake Charmer could be used in a park giving a show with his snake, which is obvious that the main eye grabber of this one is the snake, which looks amazing. Kind of wish this would replace those current snakes. You know, the ones you get a bunch of in Ninjago's Hands of Time. But as for the minifigure, is pretty nice with having those longer necklace, though the leg printing is just a mess. Wish they had to leave it blank and did a double-sided face. It's also the first to introduce this new turban headrail, having a more detailed look, making an obvious scream that it's replacing the old, which I hope it isn't, because I'm sure this would find some use with having that hole in it. Carpenter would be a real nice fit to the construction, and it's really nice to see that it's reusing the Emmett Hoard hat, but recolored. The leg printing is great having all those tools, and the unbuttoned shirt is very simple, though wish it didn't have that logo. Would have been good to use this for some civilian minifigures. The figure is the first to introduce the not a chainsaw saw piece. Simple and nice, sadly haven't been used yet outside of this figure. Oh, and it comes with wood. Fence is very simple with the printing, and obvious printing error is obvious. It does have a nice helmet and face printing. I like that the helmet make a 360 turn for stop motion, though this one is pretty much the weakest of the pack. Disco Diva shines a lot compared to its male counterpart from Series 2, which this one really loves Target. It's on her shirt, her sleeves, and the side of her legs. Though that it isn't on the front of her legs as well is really odd. And she probably have targets all over her house, probably shot up as well because it was used for target practice, and now she lives in the Target store. The store sunglasses are pretty nice and unique to the minifigure, and I love that it comes with a new color afro in brown and roller skates in white. This is really good for those who want to make something in a 70s style. Now for the costumes, this series have two. Hot Dog Man, which the only value this one have now is the face, because the costume piece has been used in the two sets after this came out. It would have been good if the costume of those sets had a different printing of the dog color and used ketchup instead of mustard. Unicorn Girl pretty much proves more of the needing to cover the face of the costume wearer. It looks like there's another head on top of this one, which looks horrible. Seriously, this is preventing a weird horse head party, and we all know that everyone is wanting that. Even though you wanted to deny it, you know you want it too. Anyways, the face looks pretty cute and the tail is nice. Now for the future stuff, there are two troopers, Galaxy and Alien. I find it funny that the Galaxy is armed to the teeth with armor, helmet, and two guns, while the Alien just have this rifle. Also pretty nice that this guy is referencing Galaxy Squad. Kind of wish the Alien make a reference as well, like returning an old headpiece from Space Police or Alien Conquest, instead of making a new mold. Some very small group of people would like for their space city having different colors of already molded alien headpieces. But this one is nice, obviously being based on an octopus. It have a really good printing. The two shades of blue and purple go very well together, and the yellow is a nice added color. As for the printing on the Galaxy Trooper is a big disappointment. The choice of pearl dark gray on a dark gray is a horrible choice. It's harder to see it unless facing the light. Also, there's no printing under the armor, which they could have given it if they didn't do the pointless printing on the helmet. The face printing is double-sided, one side being serious and the other having a visor over the face, which I hate this. Instead of doing this, they could have printed that on an actual visor piece, so it would be used on other faces instead of exclusively this one. And lastly about this figure is that the color scheme is the most boring. This is making a reference to Galaxy Squad. They could have added one of the 4 factions color scheme to it, which by the looks of the guy, I would have to go with either green or orange to the color scheme. So as the Fencer is the weakest, this one is the disappointment. If you want a new samurai outside of Samurai X, we got the female samurai to go with the male samurai from the 3rd series. This one has printing on the armor, which is pretty good and matches with the printing on the legs, though sadly that the printing under the armor is bland compared to the male counterpart, which had flower patterns. Also, while I like that she has a hairpiece, I wish it was a dark red samurai helmet instead, so it would look a lot better and matches more with the male counterpart. By the way, she comes with 2 pearl dark gray katanas. Egyptian warrior to go with the queen and pharaoh. It have a nice headwear and shield. It does give that warrior look with the simple printing, though I wish there was more to it instead of just mostly bandages. Sheriff for those who love the westerns. And sadly still waiting for a new western theme after over 10 years. Not counting licensed themes. The minifigure has a very nice for the first time a weapon holster printing on the side of the leg. I really love this and hope this would be done with other minifigures with holsters in the future. I also really love that the minifigure doesn't have a printed mustache, but instead a mustache piece from a sheriff, not a robot, but in brown, though odd that the eyebrows aren't in brown as well. The figure also doesn't look bad without the mustache. The hat is nice with the star printing, and it comes with a silver pistol and a wanted poster referencing the bandit from Series 6. Paleontologist, for some reason, I think this is meant to be a younger version of Misako. Don't know why, but looking at these two together, give that was the designer attempt. It has a nice printing design with the handkerchief, however this has the torso printing on the bottom part where you need a certain color legs or else eyesore. The headwear is amazing looking. I really love the choice for the hair color along with putting the hair in a ponytail. I would love to see this being used again for a theme that could use this piece. The series overall is alright. It have some good, some bad, and some disappointment. My favorite and recommended ones are the Evil Wizard with the pretty well design and Disco Diva because of how the design stand out from the rest. This gets a cup of Target with hot dog and unicorns and gender benders.